Escape the dungeon!
Hello, everybody. This is Escape the Dungeon, and I'm not reading from my normal thing, so I'm floundering a little. I'm a little lost.
We could tell.
But hey, that's because this is the post-campaign discussion for our Urban Shadows series, and we'd like to do this a little looser, a little loosey-goosey compared to the normal episodes. If you are listening to this I assume means that you've listened to all 50 episodes of our second season of Escape the Dungeon, our Urban Shadows second edition campaign, and we're gonna be talking about the campaign and the game and our thoughts and our feelings and our hard-hitting criticisms over the next hour-ish. I am Mike Cripps, and I am joined by my fantastic friends, all four of them. Zach Brass.
Hello.
Dom Brass.
Hi.
Tyler Knittle.
What?
And Nate Brass.
What's up, Internet? I'm still mystifying.
I felt like changing it up there, you know? Why not?
Oh my god. You're separating the brass section? How can you do that?
Yeah. They know what
it's an artistic choice. I get it.
I've always felt more like a woodwind, you know? Like I'm the saxophone that everyone tries to put in brass, but I've been woodwind all along.
If you're woodwind, you're an oboe.
Guys, we have finished our Urban Shadows campaign. As I was checking my notes today, I realized that we played this over the course of basically exactly a calendar year. Our first session was October 3rd, 2024. Our 50th episode we recorded October 4th, 2025. So that's fun.
So we lost 2 weeks there.
Yeah, only 2.
So let's talk about our experience over the past year. I just want to start very top level. How did you guys generally feel about our Urban Shadows game, both the campaign and the system?
Broadly speaking, I enjoyed it. Like, I had fun. I thought it was fun. The system was pretty good. You know, it wasn't perfect, but you know, it did the job for me.
I liked it. I'm a big fan of Magpie Powered by the Apocalypse games. I would say I would rank this as still below Masks and Avatar Legends, but above Root. But I like all four of those games. They just all have their ups and downs.
I really liked this game. I wish I picked a more obviously goofy, over-the-top evil guy to play, because I was way too slow on all my evil plans, and that was not smart. I need someone that I'd feel less awkward engaging in all my evil plans with, and I just felt so awkward playing Bobby, a little goofball. So yeah, that's my main takeaway.
So your main takeaway is that you should have been more evil.
I mean, yes, but it would have made it easier for all of us.
I don't necessarily agree.
Yeah, right.
Tyler, do you have any? This was your first campaign with us as a player. How did you enjoy it? How did you like being a cast member on the show instead of just behind the scenes? How did you feel about the campaign?
I had fun. I wish we did more of the end of session stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more. Yeah.
Yes, we'll mention that more later. I'm sure. Just like we mentioned it later during the campaign.
Next time we do it, we're going to have to set a set amount of episodes that count as a session and just stick to it. No more letting Mike bullshit like, oh no, you guys missed it. So, no, fuck you. We did 9 episodes. That means that was 3 sessions. Fuck you. Okay, we need a standard because Mike fucks us every time.
Yeah, we never do it. At least in season 1, he gave us the quiz.
Yeah, the game show
to make up experience.
No, Mike's just like, no, that doesn't seem like it would have been a full episode. It's like, there was 3 hours of gameplay, bitch.
I am feeling extremely attacked right now.
Don't feel too attacked. I really didn't read into it like that. I kept forgetting about the end of session things too. So.
It is
like,
just a hard thing to keep track of recording hour-long episodes. It's never at like the top of my mind.
So just let us be more overpowered and do it every episode.
Did you not feel overpowered enough?
No, we didn't.
I mean, I could have used a couple more demon powers from the actual demon playbook.
Look. We'll talk about all of this more in just a little bit. But where I kind of want to start is, Urban Shadows, the way it pitches itself. This is how it answers the question in the book, what is Urban Shadows, right? It is a game of political urban fantasy. Do we think that the game itself and our interpretation of it through our campaign was successful at capturing the feeling of that?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it could have been more political, but I think that was us more than...
I agree.
I think we focused too much on combat, and to disagree with Dom, I think we didn't trust each other enough to actually do politicking together, which I think hurt us around the halfway point through the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And I was sort of thinking about that leading up to this conversation. And I'm putting, a good chunk of that on myself rather than the system, where I think setting up the first adversaries of the game as a doomsday cult, which is what I thought, would just be like a fun thing to exist. I think that maybe ultimately got us off on the wrong foot, where I think maybe that made you guys think of your characters in more explicitly heroic terms than the game necessarily wants. Do you guys feel like that's fair to say?
That's a good way of putting it.
I do. And in fact, Tyler and I were kind of talking about this. That it was a really cool arc, but it ramped the stakes up really high right away, Like, it was like, oh, you're saving Vegas from doomsday.
I feel where you're coming from, but I also feel like part of the issue was just like every personal thing, no one was bringing anyone in on. And so it was like, okay, we need to do some main quest line bullshit so that we can all work together for once. And it was like, that's why like I felt like the first half of the show or so, like I was just like, I just want to do main questline stuff because I want to work with the team. I'm sick of people going, I want to walk off by myself and do some shady things and not being like, I'm going to bring someone along and make this a group scene. And I just wanted our characters to interact, and we didn't do that unless it was main quest stuff and saving the world.
Hey, I went to the bar with Dale once.
Yeah, but every time anyone wanted to make a like actual decision and do a real scene, they were like, Mike, I want to talk to just you and leave everyone else out of it. And then it's like, why would I trust you guys to tell you guys what I'm doing then if no one trusts me?
No, I feel that.
Mike was the one that actually made me do it because he kept on pulling me alone and being like, hey, I need you to do a job for me right now.
No, I get that. And I think all 5 of us are at fault for that mistake. I do.
Well, I think there was just a bit we were just fighting each other's impulses a little bit. Because I just kind of figured we'd figure it out. But like, yeah, I needed to be more upfront with my character and his plans because it just was not working for me.
But yeah, going back to character creation, and to like the assigning of debts to each other and building up that character history, there was so much baked in tension in the group. Like, yeah, some of you guys were friends, but you know, you owed each other, you've done bad things to each other, you are not entirely on the same page at the beginning of the game. And like, I wanted that to be a feature of the game because to me, that is sort of part of what political urban fantasy means, is like everybody's to some extent out for their own objectives. And I certainly could have, you know, encouraged you guys to bring each other in on your personal stuff more. But I think I also thought you were going to push against each other a little bit more than you did at the start of the game. And like the standout example of that to me is when very early on, when Bobby's investigating sand and I give through Azrael Ezra the mission to like stop Bobby from doing that, and Zach, you kind of chose not to do that.
I mean, look, Ezra was a loose cannon, all right? He did what he wanted.
He was.
I like had a rough idea on how I felt like Ezra was. And I'm like, he's just gonna do his thing like that. And you know, I felt like maybe sometimes there was some times where I was like, I really want to do the mic setup, but like I just you know, like I feel like the character's just gonna be like, screw that.
And I tried to take what I learned about like how your characters were choosing to interact with each other and how you like perceived yourselves, you know, via these characters from the first half, and adapt my strategy into the second half of the game with the, you know, Nigel murder Abner Thane arc. And that's kind of when I knew that I could trust Dom to be the guy who will be like, yeah, I'll make the decision that the other members of the group aren't going to make, which I genuinely thought was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I really liked the way it all worked out with Bobby and everything.
Yeah, I thought it worked.
I felt like it kind of, and I liked the ending in general, to be honest.
I did. I like the ending. Was it always Mormons?
So that's an interesting question. So the origin of Abner Thane was not like based on any particular figure or whatever, and I wasn't trying to make a statement about, you know, Mormonism or anything like that. But you know, I was doing a little bit of, you know, admittedly cursory research about the history of Las Vegas. And one of the things I found is that Mormon mission that is a real thing that is in downtown Las Vegas was one of the first permanent like European settler structures in the area, and I just thought that was really interesting. I knew I wanted to tie back to the like origins of the city with this character once like the idea of this former leader of the powers that be began to take shape for me. And so I was like, okay, that makes sense to me of who this guy could have been, you know.
How early on was he tied to Asriel?
That's a good question. So not very early on. If I had to put an episode number to it, probably around like the 30-35 ballpark. When I knew I wanted this catalyst of the murder of Nigel to be something that you guys would have to investigate. I wanted it to lead to more, investigation work, like I said, more politicking, which I think I was maybe successful with. Like I wanted it to be something where you couldn't just march into a place and have like an encounter with somebody, right? And so Nate and Chris, goes to investigate Nigel's home, and you're like studying the place of power, and you roll to uncover something. And that was fully something I made up on the fly. Of there was this what wound up being the staff that you found, this artifact of a former leader slash not a leader of the powers that be. And then from there, as we continued adding details to it, it just started to make sense to me.
Okay.
That this guy would be who Asriel was before he became a demon.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I know. I thought that was cool. I had a feeling that it was a little bit like, later added, just, it didn't feel like, but it ended up working perfectly.
Yeah, it felt like smooth. I really dug the Mormon backstory. I thought that was super cool. I was like, what? Madness.
I think in general, like to what Nate said earlier, I think I could have focused a little bit less on, fights / combat encounters. It wasn't my intention necessarily for there to be as many as there were. It's kind of just how it wound up working, I think, with some of your instincts as players and, trying to adapt to things on the fly. But I also think if we get a little bit more into our thoughts on the game itself, that's the kind of thing where I often didn't feel like I quite had the right tools in the system to do what I wanted to do. And I'm curious if any of you guys felt that sort of feeling or frustration to some extent as I did, or if that's more of like a GM side issue.
I mean, maybe a little, but I think it's definitely more of a GM side issue, and I could see it, with you sometimes, like trying to sort of struggle to figure it out. But because, like, ultimately as a player, right, like, when we're doing our best, we kind of just say what we want to do and figure out something that fits, right? Like, yeah, it's not so much like, I try not to look at the moves and pick which one I'm gonna do, right?
Yeah, and to a certain extent, I think that's kind of how you should play these sorts of games. But like Nate, for your wizard, there's only a pretty small list of spells, just for example, for your wizard to choose from. Did you ever feel like looking over those or anything else you didn't quite have the options you wanted to have?
I was decently happy with the spell options and stuff. I feel like there's a sense of there needs to be a little bit more catch-all where it's like, oh, you're trying to talk to someone, the only thing you can do is talk to them in this way. And like very much the stats are like, this one's for combat, this one's for talking to people, and it feels very rigid. But I think you need to like look past that and realize like, oh, like a health bar for an enemy is not necessarily a health bar. It is how like you need 3 successes of any type of roll to get through to them.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, where we're thinking of combat very like 1-to-1, where it needs to be a little bit more open.
Yeah, I mean, I think, our roots all are in more combat tactical based games with, classic encounters. So it's sort of, comes, you just kind of get in the habit of being like, all right, well, when are we going to fight the guy?
Yeah. Nate, I think rigid is a good word because I think the system is pretty rigid in a few ways. And so here's my main sticking point of what I kind of didn't like about Urban Shadows. And I want to be clear.
Mike, you hate Powered by the Apocalypse. Tell us why.
I overall, I did enjoy this game. I think it's pretty good at what it's trying to do, but I think what it's trying to do is maybe not the best fit for me personally. And the thing that I struggled with the most about this game is I felt like I had very few options available to me to adjust the difficulty of any given thing. And this is something that even today, I went back to the rule book and I did a search, and it's like, I just want to be 100% sure I didn't just miss something or forget something from the rule book, and I'm pretty sure I didn't. It's that by the book, if you are just, for example, turning to violence against a creature, it is going to be exactly as difficult. You are exactly as likely to succeed whether you are turning to violence against an unarmed civilian or a super ancient demon lord, right? There's no real way to modify the chances of success on something. Now, the way that the game gives you to adjudicate difficulty and to adjust difficulty is either to create narrative obstacles to doing that thing in the first place, or to just make the consequences of doing that thing worse. And I don't really love relying on either of those all the time.
Okay, that's fair. It makes sense. It doesn't surprise me that that's your problem with the game. I liked that, to be honest. From a player perspective, at least.
It's all subjective, man. It's jazz rules, baby.
Mike's just like, my biggest complaint is I wasn't allowed to tell you guys, no, you're too weak.
I think that's important in these games for a ton of reasons. Even let's put aside the combat thing, right? let's say you're trying to convince someone of something. There are times where I think it should be easier or harder to convince someone to do something or to a certain point of view, depending on the surrounding factors, their base temperament, the kind of request you are making, the mitigating factors around that thing. But there's no real mechanical representation for me to make those kinds of adjustments. The only factor mechanically to consider is whether or not you're using a debt on somebody. And then other than that, it's just me deciding if it's something you can even convince them of or not.
It's been a while since I've read this game. Does it not have a, like, the GM can add a +1 or -1 to the roll? Or is that a different Powered by Apocalypse I'm thinking of?
I mean, I think you can, and I certainly did at times do that. But it's not a fleshed out way of determining how likely something should be of success or not. Compared to other systems that I've played. And so that was a point of frustration for me, where it's like any difficulty I wanted there to be was either me just telling you, no, I'm not gonna let that thing happen, or trying to create as many obstacles into trying to do the thing as possible. Which isn't my favorite way of handling things.
I think that's fair. I can see why you like the system we're going to play next.
Tease.
Really just hard in the opposite direction there.
Another mechanic that I want to talk to you guys about is corruption. How did we feel about the idea of corruption narratively in this system compared to how it actually played out in the game?
Okay. The truth is that maybe they're expecting people to have way longer campaigns. I don't know. I don't know how I could have used more corruption and I still didn't corrupt out. I was, don't get me wrong, I was somewhat close towards the end there, but I was doing it like every I just didn't even do the dice roll to transform. I'm just like, oh, just take a corruption point, fully transform every time, and I transformed a lot.
You did, yeah.
And then plus there was just occasional corruption for other things, and pretty much anytime you gave me consequence that was like take corruption, I took corruption. So yeah, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, you really did take every opportunity to be a bastard.
You know, I wanted to see if you could, you know, basically if I could fall down the path of evil at the end.
Urban Shadows fails the corruption stress test.
Yeah, maybe it was, they gave you maybe a little too much leniency.
I thought it was a pretty good amount. I feel like it would be really fun to start a game with like, oh, you have 2 or 3 upgrades, whether it's corruption or normal upgrades. I feel like that would be like the ideal of playing
I
this game,
do
personally.
actually think that's a good point.
Of like play characters that are a little bit beefier, a little bit like they've been built up. They're cool people in the city. You know that already. Give them a little backstory because they're doing all this politics. Like they're not nobodies who are just stumbling into whatever the adventure is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got really, like, this was a pretty long, obviously, but it wasn't, like, crazy long, really, because obviously 50 episodes, but it's really, like, a third of that in sessions, right? So, I guess, in a way, it was a somewhat short campaign, but in a short campaign, I couldn't do it even when I tried.
Yeah, because really you have 50 opportunities to gain corruption, right? Before the consequence is you lose your character. But there's no penalties to corruption until you get that 50th one.
In fact, it's just a good thing until then.
Yeah.
Which is why I actually think the system works in a sense. I understand where you're going with this, but I think that like part of the what is cool about the corruption system is that you are enticed to take corruption. But if you go too far, then your character's just fucking taken away from you.
Oh yeah,
right?
Don't get me wrong. I like that about this. I like that, especially with the corruption moves you can take, which then give you corruption for using them. It like you can really snowball if you want. I guess I'm sort of ambivalent on there being no consequence for it until the final one. It would maybe be kind of cool if, like, let's say at like 10 corruption you get a bonus, 20 you get a penalty, 10 or 30 you get a bonus. You know, that kind of staggering thing. I think could be interesting to experiment with, but as is, I think it's pretty successful at what it's trying to do.
I think giving people like bad things for getting corrupted in theory is really cool and narrative, and in play is just kind of anti-fun.
Yeah, that's my thought too. So I feel like it's just going to make people not want to get corruption.
I think that's lame. I would absolutely take corruption if it punished you.
It's the risk reward factor of it. It's like addiction, you know.
So I think that I sort of side with Nate. I think it makes sense not to give a bad thing for corruption because it would just make me not want to go for it, right? Unless they really ramped up the power of those corruption moves, like where it was like, oh, you can get like a tier 1 corruption move. And then, you know, your tier 2 corruption moves, they're like crazy. And if you want one, you have to take one of the negatives first. You know, that would be an alternative. So you could do that if they were like really cool. But like, at least for me, the corruption moves weren't super cool for my class. There was the one that gave me full demon mode and I used it constantly. Right. And then a lot of them were like, one of them was like, you can basically, if someone tries to deny a debt, you could just tell them no and they have to do it basically. But like nobody really ever denied debts that often. Sometimes it would happen, but like, you know, it wasn't, I wasn't throwing debts around all day, you know? And then the other one, I could get like little minions to follow me around that my patron provided. But like by the time I was able to get that one, Cassie was my patron. And I was like, I don't know if it really makes sense for her to give me minions right now. So I'm not going to take that one.
I don't know. I was trying to interact with it in a like, well, is it good? Do I really want to get corrupted? But it definitely usually made sense to get corrupted.
It was, I've joked at the time, but like in a way, it was really just experience points to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. I know.
And along those terms, there's also the traditional advancement, which, you know, as we said, we were not collectively, because nobody ever reminded me about this, great at tracking, which again is just like a hard thing to do as like an end of session mechanic in the way we record these, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, the general idea being you interact with the 4 different circles of, you know, factions and players within the game. You eventually advance and you can become higher rank in the city, which is not something that we did. Does anyone have any just general thoughts about that?
I tried desperately to become higher rank in the city. It takes so long.
It does. It, I think, is kind of clunky. Even if we were
I was
doing
one upgrade away from becoming a tier 2.
Okay.
by the end of 50 episodes, and I was trying so hard. Like I was trying that as hard as Zach and Dom were trying to corrupt out. I was like getting into situations and I'm like, how can I deal with someone from the fucking beast or whatever Dom's people were? How can I deal with one of them? And then every time Dom wanted to deal with them, he would go off on his own and I'd be like, fuck you, let me talk to this vampire.
Yeah, like I agree. I wasn't trying that hard. I got like 2 level ups, like the whole time.
Well, maybe that's our fault because we split up to do our own thing too much. So it might be our own.
But it's also like kind of hard, right? Because like even when you're together, in fact, when you're together, it's sort of harder too, because like only one of you gets to do the one move, right? Like a lot of the time. When you're doing like a circle move or whatever.
The key, I think, to like if we were doing a traditional home game, longer individual sessions, right? Remembering to do the end of session stuff. I think the key is to use your debts on each other more frequently, which is ultimately not something you guys did a ton of.
Yeah, well, I feel like that was, one of our big issues is we should have been using those debts to be like, hey, I got a sketchy thing I got to do. Come with me.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like if we did that, that would have fixed a lot of those issues.
Yeah, because even when you guys did bring each other in on your sketchy stuff, most of the time it was like, hey, can you help me out with this? Yeah, sure, buddy.
Well, I feel like I tried being obstinate at the start, and then everyone was like, okay, I'm not going to ask you to do stuff then. And I was like, no, that's not what I meant. I just meant invoke a debt.
Yeah, I was role-playing, damn it.
I did want to help you with your stupid, weird plans.
Are there any more specific mechanical stuff about the games that stood out to you guys positively, negatively, just, anything?
I'm not super in love that for whatever class you play or playbook you play, that your let it out ability is dictated by spirit, like for all of them. I feel like it would have been better for the let it out attribute to make sense to the playbook.
Especially because there are playbooks that can start with negative spirit, right?
Exactly. It's like, why do I have these? I have such a low chance of them succeeding. Like that was the issue with Hannah. My spirit she lacked the spirit.
Yeah, no, same. I never used them because my spirit was low until the end when I leveled it up finally.
My spirit was high straight away because I read the rules and I was like, spirit controls the let it out ability.
I needed blood.
Yeah, I needed blood too, but I was like, I gotta go spirit, man. I got wolf powers. And everything I can do with blood, because like the thing is, if you get spirit instead, it would be like, activate your wolf-like strength, and it's like, well, there you go. I still used blood a lot though.
Yeah, I'm sort of mixed on their, being just kind of 4 ability scores, and then there's also your status and your, reputation with the factions as well, which like is sort of also ability scores, but those came up way less than the primary 4.
I do see how I think in a longer system the status and all that would make more sense.
I mean, I never felt like we weren't using them when we could be, It didn't feel like we were missing opportunities to do those things, in my opinion.
Well, I feel like we were also going very mission-y, and so we would have long periods of like, that was a day, and like the game kind of expects you to play more like that was a week.
Yeah, that's fair.
That session, and then go to the like in between time session moves, which we didn't use much.
We didn't, and that was sort of a choice that I made. Just because those.
So you made the choice for us to not use those abilities.
Well, we did the.
So your complaint is your choice. Interesting, Mike. Go on.
We did the one where we like did it 100% or close to 100% rules as written, with like a time jump in the first half of the game. And
yeah, that's right.
We did it once in 50 episodes.
Yeah, I didn't like it, and part of that is the rules it gives the GM to determine like what other factions are doing is, basically die rolls for like how successful their off-camera stuff is. And I'm like, I kind of don't want to roll for that. I kind of just want to decide.
Oh, so you cheated.
Cheater, pumpkin eater.
See, I think the roll to that is kind of fun because then you set up multiple villains and it's just like, this one feels like it's the most pressing, but we really don't know. Because it is up to luck. I thought that was a cool part of the rules, but fuck me, I guess.
Do you guys have any like standout moments or characters or anything that, from our campaign that you guys want to touch on?
I like Leon.
Yeah, Leon was the best character.
Yeah, Leon.
Leon was the best.
I know Chris hated Leon, and I let into it, but Leon was funny. I'll admit it. Now that it's over and you can't bring him back because I said that, I feel like I can be true.
I loved what Dom did, pulling Leon into his epilogue.
Oh, so funny.
Was so good.
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was perfect.
I had to. It's Leon, bro. He was the best. I like that you let me kill Dr. What's his name? Mr. Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, you straight up killed real Sylvester Stallone, who was a character in this game since episode 1.
But in my mind, I killed him in the last campaign. So that's the beautiful part about it.
Celebrity killing was the highlight for Dom.
Jodie Foster's not impressed.
Anything else stand out to you guys?
Getting arrested was fun.
That was fun, and that was a really unexpected, unplanned thing to happen. But I think that was a really fun decision you made, Tyler. Especially because like Dale was going back and forth so much, right? With like how he was feeling about Ryan, Arizona, how he was feeling about Vinny, how he was feeling about Hannah. And like you tried to make peace and then you set Vinny up and then you take the fall for him. I think it was...
And then the bastard turned my wife into a blade.
Dude, that was so your fault. You were crazy. That was insane. It was a lot of fun.
Trusting him and thinking
it was so crazy.
He's all right.
Yes, that was crazy. You were like, I'm gonna turn you in, and then you backed out. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was crazy to do without
like it was great.
No, it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, Tyler just got arrested by a secret federal agency.
Zach, I was going to turn you into Ryan, Arizona, but I never got around to it. I was going to make you the Beast. That was my plan.
Yeah, I did kind of want to have some of that going around. I was planning on... Well, I kind of thought you were going to do that, and I was totally down with it.
I was going to turn you in,
just
Nate, or not Nate, Tom. Wow.
Leave me
alone.
Well, yeah, I kind of wish you would have. That would have been fun. But no, I should have done that.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to cross some lines that you didn't end up crossing until later. Because I was like, man, this guy's crazy. He's a loose cannon. maybe for the benefit of the rest of us who are just trying to navigate this crazy world, we get this guy out of it. But I didn't.
That's so mean.
Hey, it's your fault.
You thought about doing
for
that
being
to my
an
character.
evil bastard.
That's so cruel. What a cruel guy.
I liked whenever Chris and Ezra were left alone because it normally resulted in some nonsense.
I was just going to say that. I really enjoyed those two because it really... It felt like I was able to bring out that like sitcom energy of Ezra. Like you grab an extra person and or not of Ezra, Chris, where she can just be the straight man and be like, you guys are idiots. But then you leave the two of them alone and it's just like Chris has a stupid plan and Ezra's just like, that's genius. And it just like highlights her stupidity and her arrogance in a way that was really fun, especially letting out the demon locked in. Like that was just so fun. Of just like, this is a terrible idea. I want to put it in the staff and then go meet the villain who I think is the other half of this. And then it immediately blew up in our face and I was just like, that couldn't have gone better.
There were a lot of things that could have gone better for you guys, but I mean, we ended in pretty interesting places for all of our characters, right? Bobby's on the run with Leon. Chris, no magic. Hannah and Dale like split up and Hannah like maybe going full vampire lord, and Dale just has to like go back to his normal life, and then Ezra of course trying to make it as a stunt man.
He'd be a really good stuntman too because he's pretty durable, you know.
It can take a lot of punishment. Yeah.
He like breaks his arm and just snaps it back in place.
Is there anything for any of your characters that you wish, or maybe the characters wish, they would have done differently looking back in retrospect?
I'd do it again.
I mean, yes, there's a lot of things.
There was times when I wished I had listened to Asriel more often, but then in the end, I'm pretty glad with how that all worked out. So,
Zach, how did you feel when Asriel sold your soul to somebody else, who obviously turned out to be Cassie?
I was highly insulted.
But you get it, right?
Yeah, totally. Ezra had been being a little shit. Not only was he, like, honestly, Asriel, I don't even know. Asriel should have just killed him.
To be honest, yeah.
Not only was he being completely insubordinate, he literally killed his best other dude. Like,
now you get nothing done.
Yeah.
Look, that's why at some point you just have to cut your losses with these things.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was fair. Ezra was bad at his job.
Is there anything that Tyler, any of your many characters in this campaign, would have done differently in retrospect?
I wish I kept my job. Like the thing about the playbook that I played is I have a lot of like interrupting sort of relationships. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wish they came up a bit more.
Yeah.
But we did focus a lot on my overbearing ex-partner who constantly worries about you, as the playbook dictates.
Yeah, I think like with this being hour-long episodes with 4 players, right? I kind of had to pick the things I wanted to focus on with all of your backstories and playbook features, and obviously that's more of an explicit feature of the playbook you chose. But then, yeah, you sort of went off the grid for a little bit after the Ryan, Arizona stuff got introduced. So it really only made sense for if like that's what Dale was gonna do for that job to then be a non-factor.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the one phone call Dale had with his parents. That was fun.
Where you got to talk about old people's sex lives. Yeah, I bet you enjoyed it.
Yeah, man.
Freak.
Don't kink shame.
The Ryan, Arizona stuff. Now I'll say this now, Tyler, since the campaign's over. He was never initially going to be a major threat to Dale. In my mind, he was always after the bigger fish, right? He was always after the beast. And like he was trying to bring Dale into that. And even after it was after the death of Josh that you like went underground, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, because I assaulted him. I tried to kick him.
Because you assaulted him. Yeah, I was not gonna have him like bring you in for that. Like that was not gonna get
but Dale didn't know.
Arrested. But Dale didn't know, and so Dale made that decision, which I thought was great. Really interesting, and true to the character. But yeah, as a narrative consequence, that was going to be pretty minimal for him if you hadn't done that. Nate, was there anything that you would have done differently with Chris?
I don't know, maybe not pulled a gun on Bobby.
I feel like that was a turning point.
But what about everyone else that you pulled a gun on?
That I felt pretty good about the one on Ezra, because that was like a low point in their relationship, and then they just went on silly side quests and were like, actually, we're friends. Whereas Bobby, like, they never recovered from that one. It was just like Chris being like, I don't trust you, and Bobby being like, okay, I will never tell you anything then. I was just like, okay.
I told you a couple things. I feel like we didn't tell each
I
other
agree,
stuff.
I agree.
feel like you're right.
I was
There's
not
definitely
trying to
stuff
put
I was
that
trying to hide.
on you as like, oh, Dom fucked up. I was trying to.
No, I know. But I did in the same sense, right? Like I needed to figure out how to tell people my evil plans. But I felt awkward doing it because they're secret evil plans.
What was his plan? Can we learn it now?
Well, I wanted to kill Azrael and Ezra. So
Okay, but Azrael was Abner Thane, right?
But was
Sort of.
he? Okay, I think this is a nice way to sort of steer the conversation to its end. Abner Thane, the big bad of the second half of our campaign. I purposefully made his motivations and history and everything pretty opaque for the majority of his story, because I wanted it to be more about how your characters would make judgments about this sort of figure, right? Who is very clearly powerful, who is trying to like insert himself into your lives, make deals with you, and it just has to be about your judgment calls. And obviously, Azrael was part of him, and the one split in two was part of him. But after they joined and recreated Abner Thane the person, I wanted it to be like, well, is he the same thing? Is he not?
No, and you definitely made it that way. I want to make that clear. But The answer I came up with in the end is yes.
I feel like if half of this person split off, turned into a demon, like a powerful demon, and the other half was not clearly good. Like, it's not like the goodness was stripped out of him and then he became a demon. I was just like, there's no way you can trust this guy. So why would I want someone that powerful that I can't trust walking around? Like, there was no point of me that it was like, it makes sense to trust him.
Not even if he could have given Chris what she wanted most?
No, because that's such an evil thing to offer someone.
Yeah, but that's the game, baby.
That's just straight villainy. And it's like, okay, well, I don't really want you running around because someone that powerful that I think is evil, like, they're going to betray me after I help them. That's the bad ending of like any video game where they're like, what if I gave you the perfect world? That's before the fucking DLC, bro. That's just the bad ending.
Well, I guess I'll say it was never my intention with Abner Thane to betray you if you chose to side with him. If you chose to side with him, he would have given you what you wanted, and it would have cost a lot. But he would not have, then stabbed you in the back.
I don't think you would have done that in game. I think in world he would have eventually backstabbed us. And then I would have helped this powerful guy get like set up to do that and just take over everything.
Yeah, my thought with him is, and if, let's say he and Bobby had been victorious at the end, right? Like, let's say you roll really poorly on like trying to do the ritual and, maybe you Chris dies or something like that.
I was so nervous about those rolls.
Yeah. If Abner and Bobby had won, like Ezra would have been essentially erased from history. Bobby would get what he wanted, and then Abner Thane would also be the world's unquestionably most powerful wizard ever.
Yeah.
Just seems like a win. I don't.
And who knows what good or bad might have come from that.
Seems like just a good thing.
Probably not that much good.
Okay, that's making a lot of assumptions. Wizards are pretty incredible.
And in my mind, I don't know if I was at odds with Nate here, but like the powers that be, like everyone in there was pretty questionable, right? Nigel and Adrian and
100%. That's, I think, part of why I felt like it was natural for no matter what happened, Chris was leaving the powers that be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chris was pretty questionable herself. She likes to pull guns on people.
Yeah, but like that's emotional.
Yeah. Fair.
I threatened you out of emotions, not out of cold, like calculated.
Fair.
She's just pissed.
Yeah,
blast.
So yeah, she's just unhinged and they're all sociopaths.
Yeah, I think she's a little unhinged because she was raised by sociopaths like that in another city. And she was like, I'm gonna be big. And then she was like, this fucking sucks everywhere.
They all suck.
I don't like any of these people. My best friend is an idiot demon boy. Like, what am I doing right now?
I thought I was your best friend.
Yeah, but then you got yourself arrested and left me.
Wow.
Do you guys have any questions for me about decisions I made, how I ran things, anything?
Why do you hate Powered by the Apocalypse so much?
I don't hate Powered by the Apocalypse. Let's be very, very clear. I enjoyed my time with Urban Shadows. I think it is a well-made game by and large. I think it's just not not something I'm going to be in a rush to play again anytime soon. The way the moves work, I think, is this middle ground between like very explicit interaction rules like you see in crunch forward games like Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and looser games like where you can kind of do whatever and there's very fast rules for it, like with what we played in Scum and Villainy. The way the specific Urban Shadows moves work, I often found a little clunky. That's why I kind of relied less on them the more we went, and I was more likely at a certain point to just ask you to make a roll with one of your stats and then we figure out what happens after. I think that's just sort of more my speed for these kind of things. But I do think it offers structure for this kind of role-playing and narrative-heavy game that I can certainly understand why some people appreciate it.
Very well, you will not be hanged today.
I don't think we're going to get a sponsorship after that, but, you know.
Hey, and look, I can tell you equally things I don't like about every game system I've ever played, because I don't think any of them are perfect. Any of them do exactly what I want at any given time. But that's the beauty of trying out all these games and giving them like a real fair shake, like we're doing on this show. And I think Urban Shadows is absolutely worth playing. I think it's a really enjoyable game that does what it's trying to do successfully.
Okay, just clip that part, Tyler. The Magpie team.
Okay.
Any final thoughts, guys?
Yeah, no, it was great. Ezra's cooler than you think he was.
No, he's not, dude.
I don't think that's... That's crazy. This guy's crazy over here.
Ezra's a lot of things. I don't think cool is one of them.
Look, in the end, everybody except for Bobby was like, well, Ezra's kind of my best friend now.
Yeah, because they didn't have, family members crippled by him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I think that's about wraps up our post-campaign conversation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us throughout this Urban Shadows campaign. It's been a blast. We do have a season 3 coming. Announcement, reveal. Wow, wow, wow. Here's the thing. We are going to take a brief hiatus before we get into season 3. I don't know how long that hiatus is going to be, if I'm being 100% honest with you, but we are going to be back as soon as we can. We are really, really excited about where we're going with this show. We're going to be doing things that we've never done before, trying new things out. I want to tell you the specifics so badly, but I'm gonna bite my tongue on this because I want it to be a surprise. But please stay subscribed. Please stay tuned. We will be back with a season 3, and I think it's going to be legendary, if I had to put a word to it.
Down,
Thank you for listening to Escape the Dungeon. Escape the Dungeon is created by Dom Brass, Nate Brass, Zach Brass, and Mike Cripps, with editing and original music by Tyler Knittle. If you enjoyed this show, please consider subscribing and leaving a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. To find us on social media, go to escapethedungeonpod.com.